You're watching the VOIDGAZERS variety show. I'm Trixie the Golden Witch with Bird Stork.
Hello.
The Butthole Weeb.
Hello.
Paru Sorrow.
You know.
And Mike Wazowski off camera. In the distance. Take us into the void, 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 void.
Trixie and Riley, aka Vizier and the Golden Witch, the VOIDGAZERS. Follow me into the void, not typically avoid feelings that you're paranoid of making you into a joint to bury. We carry all your memories and remix your ancestors. Past the future, have a melt in your mouth texture.
Cheese bread, take your head. Just rush the bed, dodge the fence. The virus spreads, you're not safe, so take the pill. Everyone can see you on the hill, so come into the void.
Come to me to the point where they just started calling me the post office's resident anime expert.
Nice.
So or anime recommender, which is what Nick Ricada calls me. They're just like, yeah, that weird fuck. He knows about anime.
That's
you
a
want a
good
good
title to
recommendation?
have.
Tell that motherfucker what genre. There's so many times over the last 3 years they'll just walk up to me and I'll be like, yeah, watch this. Never seen anything like that. Cool as shit.
I'm blue.
What's Blue Summer?
Blue. I like the hometown restaurant. Aside from the fact that everyone in there was really old and they were looking at my hair a lot.
It always is.
I don't mind.
Like I
They were
said,
just
when I come here
astonished.
drunk at 6 in the fucking morning, everyone is 70 plus.
Yeah.
No one fucking knows this place exists. Other than the fact that they have food.
Oh, you mean the town?
Is this a town of retirees? I wanted to ask that because my grandparents live in a town of 2,000 people that is also just a town of retirees. I mean, besides you, obviously.
There's lots of old people, but
Okay.
again, I'm not a guy who goes out a whole lot, so
you wouldn't know.
I don't really. I try to not talk to people, but you know.
But
I
like,
can't believe you actually did sit down and watch all the Piano Melody of the Young Girls Heard.
no, we only watched like 15 minutes of it.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, 10 episodes, nothing happens. It is God gift.
We're gonna show Riley the Garzy's Wing comedy gold clip. If you haven't seen it, Google it. Don't look on YouTube because it doesn't come up. I don't know why. It's still on YouTube. It doesn't come up unless you Google search it.
You're not supposed to see it.
You'll find other compilations, similar Garzy's Wing compilations on YouTube as well.
Yep.
But this is the classic that introduced it to the world.
We both watched this years ago and are big fans of how dog shit it is. And as a big
Yeah.
Yoshiyuki Tomino fan, seeing a somewhat anime fan react to it is gonna be funny as fuck.
Yeah, shout
So,
out to Justin Savakis for editing this video.
Yep. Let's see if Riley, what he knows about anime, if he can register this shitty dub.
Why do you have to go back to your hometown now? You failed the college entrance exam twice now.
It doesn't matter. I will come back after I attend the class reunion pool party tomorrow, Rumiko.
You are so easygoing.
My necklace is rattling. I wonder, could it be the Shiratori Shrine?
This is like 30 seconds.
Shiratori? This must be the place where Yamato Takero no Mikoto came down from the sky. What the heck is this now? Ah!
That's what happens when your necklace rattles. She's inside me.
The ancient Japanese mad spirit. Use the power of the earth and water and power of the meter.
What?
Who are you? A damn ghost?
Why do you think this is the work of a
Then
ghost?
who are you? Are you Yamato Takero no Mikoto?
A man is falling down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this where Fall Hour, the fucker name is? Comes in?
So what's happening here is he just passed through a fairy world very briefly and caught a fairy on his necklace while he was like time streaming back to wherever he is now.
Never
So
explained.
now she's trapped with
What is
him.
going on?
You can infer it eventually from some stuff they say later.
So now they're in a fairy, or now they're in like not a fairy world, but like a Middle Earth.
Yes, it's supposed to be like ancient Japan, but like an alternate dimension or something. I don't know. It's the universe of a show that he made called Aura Battle and Dunby.
Yeah, Seisenshi Dunbai is literally supposed to be in the same universe as this, which makes absolutely zero sense.
Oh my god, I felt like I was having a dream!
everybody, is there any connection to this? There is a war going on. Even dinosaurs are here. And they use bows and arrows. My sword is unbelievably dull. If you die over there, what will happen to
It's
me
the
back
thing.
here?
My sword is
I don't know whether
unbelievably
her
dull.
body and mind are split. I don't know how we got separated, but I think we are still one person. We died together? Probably. No, it can't be true. I'm not joking.
The convenience store lines in this clip, right? In this video.
I must somehow make sense of our convoluted situation. If you say you're in an aura world, then I have to strengthen my mind. I must do chi, spiritual unification, and practice Zen. I'm being chased by a real army, huh? I know. I will do that here. Please do so.
I'd like to go too. Can I go?
This is for the very end.
Oh no!
I'm not sure.
So his spirit's in that other world, like fighting and shit, and talking to him in the
Yeah.
split person way.
But him in the present world, like, teaches him about gunpowder and shit to help these rebels fight back against the kingdom they're running away from.
Cool.
It's basically like they're kind of like an analog of, because he's helping this tribe called the Matomius tribe who are being like wiped out because of their religion or whatever by the king of this nation, and so they like summoned Garzy's wing to help them, which is a power that this kid has after that fucking
The bird.
yeah stupid goose, the
bird
rainbow goose
wounds
thing
him.
like took him away.
He's wounded by the bird.
Yeah. So like the whole thing is about him like, you know, helping this tribe to fight, and like because he's like a spoiled Japanese kid, you know, everything is like overwhelming to him and he's constantly bitching and whining and everybody's just like shut the fuck up and you know, do what you got to do.
You do like characters like that. 'Cause you like Ava.
That's kind of Tomino's MO. I mean, Ava is heavily driven from Gundam, and like Gundam is basically the same type of situation where like the main character is not a soldier, but he ends up piloting the Gundam, you know,
Right.
and everybody beats his ass and makes him pilot it.
Could you word it like word for word? Say my favorite line in the show about the convenience store. What did he say to the fucking Lothario or whatever?
He says
there's a convenience store there or some shit. I was like, well,
I don't remember that. I do remember the line where she's like, "I'll never be able to see my grandmama or any of my aunts again," and he's like, "And I'll miss my high school reunion." It's incredible.
you could tell they never read a single line of the fucking script.
No.
Absolutely.
Everybody's reading it for the first time, for sure. Like when he stumbles over Rumiko's name the first time he says it. Doesn't
Rumiko.
matter, I will go there and come back now,
Rumiko. That's how I sold Yarzy's wing on some fucking random weirdo that I was talking to at a gas station. I was at a gas station, the fucking attendant was talking to me about anime because he saw my anime shirt, and I tried to describe to him how shit Garzy's wing was, and I sold him on it immediately. He went home after that shift, texted me, and said that him and his girlfriend watched it and like had the greatest time.
That's good.
That's
Spreading appreciation of Garzy's wing is a good mission.
If you want to really know who's got good taste in anime, the real anime you should watch. Top 5, Gurren Lagann, 4, Akadaki no Cavalry, number 3, the Love Live series, yeah, shit on me, cancer. Fuck, number 2, The Prince of Tennis, number 1, Ghosten. Everyone watch those 5. 5 greatest anime ever made.
Very moonshine.
This shit is amazing.
Never had it? Oh, wait.
Do not eat the blueberries if you're royally
So you've
fucked
had the
up.
blueberry flavor before?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Does it have
She
the
had
blueberries in it? Sorry.
I don't know.
It does.
Oh,
Do not
perfect.
do
I'm
not eat
fucking
these
excited.
if you are
I'm
royally
excited.
fucked up, because that shit will hit you 2 hours later. Good night.
I'm excited as fuck.
It's soaking in
I love
fucking
blueberries.
moonshine.
Well, now I want just the blueberries.
Oh god, the same. Well, I'm calling off work tomorrow. I do not want someone in my house dying.
We got a dash cam for exactly that reason.
Nice. You get anything good on it so far?
It's only been a day or two.
Oh, there you go.
Drive out here in the middle of the fucking cornfields. I don't know why my cars are always a magnet for birds. Because usually they're not retarded enough to, like, you know, maybe get out of the way. I've hit more birds than I have fucking deer. Like,
How many deer have you hit?
2. So,
Incredible.
the second week
You have an hour and 45-minute commute every day.
Yeah.
Lots of deer to hit in an hour and 40
It's always
minutes.
a fucking night. One of them was on the highway, of all things. But no, God forbid I drive fucking 25 miles in the country road where there's deer. I hit one on the fucking, like, exit in Indianapolis. Like, 2 in the morning. Like, why the fuck is there a deer right there? So, thank God I got that fixed. And I wasn't hurt. But...
You don't deliver from the post office, right? You do something else.
Yeah, I sort the mail.
Oh, you sort the mail?
Yeah.
Which means he sees your packages.
Yeah.
He knows what you guys are getting.
Licky butthole. Then,
Is that what you do?
He is a butthole licker right here.
right now I'm on light duty because I was ill. So, like, I used to be like 30 pounds heavier before I got sick last year. So I'm on light duty, which is like the most easy money ever because I literally, instead of running the machine and having to do heavy lifting, you sit. Like, so I sit with all the, like, fucking 65-year-old fat fucks who are about to retire who can't, like, do what they used to. And I literally just sit there for 8 hours and I just, like, have a tray of mail and I just, like, do it by zip code. And I still get all my breaks, my lunch. I get paid for all of it. It's fucking great. So hopefully I'm transferring out soon, but the that's more likely to come in a month and a half or so. But, you know, the drive is fucking ridiculous. So I'll take doing the easy shit until I get out of. Yeah, especially with the whole gas prices going up.
What do you like listen to for an hour and 45-minute drive?
Jim Cornette's podcast, The Jim Cornette Experience, The Dick Show, WATP, mostly podcasts, comedy podcast. Re-listening to The Biggest Problem in the Universe. Who else? Lots of, like, wrestling YouTubers that just, like, do lists of wrestling history. And if you're asking me music-wise, lots of folk punk, like Pat the Bunny, Days and Days. Let's see here, Phil Oakes. Really old, like, Americana folk shit, like what's that fucking Pete Seeger. Yeah, Pete Seeger. That's what you guys probably saw my fucking mandolins when you guys went to bed last night in my room. So,
Mandolin?
like, yeah, I have 2 mandolins in there. It's like that's what I used to play, like folk punk, like that, like protest music, like fuck the government. It's just like really fast, but it's all acoustic. Like I listen to a lot of guys like that. That's
they're tough.
Really, I listen to more podcasts than I do music. Maybe sometimes I'll listen to the soundtrack of, like, fucking.
Did you ever play the mandolin on your commute?
Well, that'd be impressive. With how far I drive, you think I would be a master at that? No. Sometimes I listen to, like the Tale of Princess Kaguya's soundtrack, like Hanasaku Iraha's soundtrack, just anime shit.
This is
You
moonshine.
just sipped it? Yeah.
This is moonshine. Yeah.
You sip it. You sip that boy.
Okay,
It almost tastes like rubber.
What? I think it's pretty good.
It tastes
talking
not
it like
bad.
that was
really.
I played the trombone from 6th
That's
grade
awesome.
to 9th. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun instrument. I wish I had one because I feel like I could have. I could be in practice if I had one. But they're fun. I mean, I've got the frame for it. I can get all the way out to
Trombone's
7th position.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that you've got the full beanie glasses and the earrings, too.
Yeah, you've got one.
Oh,
Damn it, you
Jeez,
Now,
all
is
beanies are
that
the
a
best.
Tommy gun?
You should have saw me in high school when I actually, like,
Had a Tommy.
I actually had, like, anarchist, like, fucking folk punk circle fucking pins on my beanies and shit. That was some real folk punk shit. Because I don't know if you guys know, but the folk punk scene is, like, ginormous in Bloomington, Indiana, which is like an hour 40 from here as well.
I had no idea.
I didn't
I used to
know-
go to underground folk punk shows
Have you
there.
ever heard of Rail Yard Punk or Rail Yard
Yeah.
Ghosts?
Really goes,
Do you know Ella Carino?
I met them actually.
Yeah, we met Ella at Road Rage Minneapolis.
Really?
She's
a fan of the Dick Show?
Yeah, she's the accordion girl. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dick signed an accordion. Ella Carina's the accordion.
The little blonde one?
The blonde girl with real long dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ella.
Oh.
And so on our way back, we had went to see CJ and Grand Admiral C and a couple other people in Michigan, and on our way back, we stayed with her for a few days, which is really cool.
Dude, I did not know that.
Yeah, she's a lot of
That's
fun.
folk punk as shit. That's as folk punk as it gets.
She recommended like Joy Kills Sorrow to me. I really like them. I mean, they're not really punk; they're just folk. I think she's studying to be a behavioral therapist or something. No, guidance counselor. Real cool person. She cut off all her dreads though.
Did she?
Huh?
Did she really?
Yeah. I can imagine Railroad Ghost with them. I'm very well, and I don't think they're a band anymore.
It
should be quantity over quality.
Flaw of me as a human being is that I never learned Japanese.
You can. Fucking
I
Duolingo, download it.
I just wouldn't. Though.
But-
It wouldn't give us more opportunities now
No.
than if she just had like if she was someone who years ago was into knowing Japanese, she might end up she might be.
I'd be in Japan.
Or,
by
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I would not be here if I had learned Japanese.
If you could be there, you wouldn't be here. That's
As
a
luck
good way
would.
to live.
Well, it's not even that. If I could be there, even not knowing the language that
I
well.
also could learn Japanese.
I mean, you
Right.
could. But think about how much time that takes away from your other thing. You gotta think about it a little differently for me because she's older than us.
Well, no, just if she wants to have fun, she can learn Japanese. That's fun.
I thought it was a blast.
I've been trying for
diminishing
15
returns as you get older, dude.
Well,
I didn't under, I still don't understand it because I'm young. But my dad's always told me you just can't learn things when you're 30.
Yeah.
You just
I've heard that
You
before.
stop being able to learn anything.
Technically, you stop when you're 67, but.
Well, what's
I mean, I
Well,
know.
Dick talked about it on the show. Yeah, there's
There's,
an actual
stats
thing
about it?
where when you turn 67,
You just can't learn
can't understand
things?
new concepts.
That's scary.
So I can't.
all the government's older than that. The whole thing.
That must be why Hunter Thompson shot himself right around then.
Well, no, kind of, yeah.
He stopped being able to understand things, and that's scary.
Yeah, the internet came out, and he was like,
He
well,
started getting mad at stuff. I think that's in the note, though. He's like, I'm crotching you. I don't like things I don't understand anymore. And he's like, I don't like that. About
I didn't
myself.
even know that I haven't read his
It's
suicide
the
note.
worst. You don't know the note?
No, I didn't.
The fun part is getting to actually talk to a Japanese person who's teaching you.
Right.
That was the funnest it was.
That's the best thing with most languages.
Like,
I love that I learned
it
French.
was like when they could just, you can go online, tap, and be like, $40, 1 hour, 1 day a week, and just she'd type in some fucking kanji, and I'd be like, okay, and then I'd be thinking about an anime I had just watched. I'm like, I don't understand this title, and I just ask her, what the fuck does this mean? And she just rattle it off, and then you just keep doing that, and like me and you watching anime for over a decade and a half, you pick up on it, and
Right. Yeah, I mean,
it's just repetition.
There's
but
certainly
it's fun,
a lot that I
you know?
have picked up on where I can understand what's happening in the Kazukin Cha-Cha from a room over because it's written for babies,
Right.
but anything more complicated
So
than
You know,
that.
they're just exclaiming, idiot. That's fun.
A good one. Bakuraptor put it one time. He said once he learned Japanese, he realized that in anime, all characters under 18, they just don't speak complete Japanese. They just don't. In any anime. They speak like children, or like teenagers.
Right.
But adult characters just speak in way more complicated words just to signify their age, basically.
That's what I learned from because my tutor was from born in Tokyo, came here. I think she lives in North Carolina, an hour or some shit. But she what she told me was what I had to learn was different dialects in certain places. So I told her I plan within a couple of years to move to Niigata, Japan, because it's kind of bumfuck nowhere like this place, and I know Japanese. And
Is Niigata where? Is there an anime set there?
it's kind of the setting of Nan Biori.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's kind of countryside.
Literally in the
rice
middle of
field.
fucking nowhere.
Thanks. That sounds
No,
awesome.
those places are.
I was
that
curious
place
if
is
places
gorgeous.
like that
Yeah.
existed in Japan.
But
Oh man,
she said that
there's only one place I've seen in America that actually looks like that, which is in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh yeah.
Not something you can drive through, but when I stayed in a cabin out there one time, and I walked out to this field, and I was like, this looks just like Japan as depicted in any anime about feudal
as
perfect
perfect as
Japan.
Kaguya-hime.
Yeah, and then that's the only spot in America I've seen that looks like that. Whereas it seems like every anime depicts the Japanese rural countryside the exact same.
Exactly, except Yokohama shop.
What's up, everybody? It's Trixie the Golden Witch here, enjoying blue summer with my blue hair out here in the middle of bumfuck Indiana. I am at the house of one butthole weeb otherwise known as Landonime. You can find him on YouTube talking about anime, doing reviews and recommendations and stuff like that. And we've recorded a few podcasts together that I was planning to edit before starting our trip around the country again, but ultimately, because we ended up going to his house first, we just filmed a bunch of footage with him here, and I'm incorporating all of that back into editing the VOIDGAZERS episode that's going to have all that podcast footage you'll be seeing shortly. This is my first time actually stopping in Indiana, and I have to say, it's a very quaint and quiet state. There's not a lot here. It's mostly fields of just like blank nothing with some trees here and there. I mean, it's not as empty as Kansas, but Kansas is like wheat fields. In Nebraska, similarly, this is just like fields, like not even tamed really, like not with purpose, just you know, it's just a green place where there are little towns and, you know, very inexpensive big houses on big plots of land with lots of green, lots of bugs, and the weather's been nice. We're right at the beginning of June. I was afraid it would be colder as we got further north, but actually here in Indiana, it's been really nice. It's just been like perfectly high 60s, low 70s every day and night that we've been here. It doesn't get like exponentially colder at night or anything like that. So, but most importantly, like, even though right now you might be hearing this whirring from the fan that, you know, is putting air into this house right now, it is otherwise very quiet out here. I slept for 15 hours today because I was on a nice comfortable bed and it was so stone quiet, and you know, I had been drinking the night before. We hung out with Parusaro and their boyfriend Joe, who were both really fun, and we all just basically drank and talked about anime and other stuff and internet stuff. So I've got some footage of that as well, and us dicking around in the mayor because Ari was so impressed with the scale of the grocery store. We ended up hanging out there for like 40 minutes geeking out over just how much stuff there is at a mayor. If you've never been up north in the US, mayor is like a sort of a Walmart competitor, but it's got just like very open design, so it just looks insanely massive. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Indiana is a good place to sleep. Hey, it's future 6 a.m. editor Trixie here with my super fast fucking energy skills, telling you all that there's a much longer version of this video available on onlyfans.com/YigStudio. The full version is like 2 hours and 15 minutes. lots of extra footage of us hanging out here at Butthole Weeb's house, as well as some additional parts of the already quite long Whiplash review that you'll be getting into very shortly. So, yeah, if you cannot get enough of Voidgazers, just know that every episode is going to be way longer on the OnlyFans. We're trying to keep them with a little bit more brevity on the YouTube channel, since some of these episodes got so preposterously long that I figured it'd be a challenge for new viewers to actually get through them. So, you know, enjoy this YouTube version, and if you like it, pay the very minimal subscription fee to get access to all the OnlyFans bonus content, and you get everything as soon as you sign up. So there's already a bunch of stuff there that you get to check out.
Hey, how's it going? I'm sorry I was late.
I thought we were gonna. I thought popular demand.
Sorry I crushed your leg there. I fell in from the ceiling.
Popular.
Well, by popular demand, I spent an evening in the ceiling to think about my decisions and decided I should be on every episode of the show.
You should just have your own microphone.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been gone last week. I'm sorry to anyone I gave false hope to that I wouldn't be on every episode of VOIDGAZERS.
So, Butthole Weeb, you're here with us to talk about a movie that came out a few years ago.
Yes.
And it's directed by Damien Chazelle, who also directed La La Land later, which almost won Best Picture.
Moonlight won Best Picture.
But didn't. And you had not seen this movie, Riley, Butthole Weeb. I don't think you had seen this movie either until recently, right?
No, I don't, like I said, I grew up on strictly on Japanese culture, so I don't watch a whole lot of live action. I mean, I have seen a lot, but like I did not grow up on live action films, so I had never even heard of this.
I had already been telling you to watch this movie because you have a very J.K. Simmons-esque approach towards helping artists to do better.
Yes, I'm exactly like Terrence Fletcher.
You're not as fucking intense as he is off the like about. You wouldn't really like hold people to mistakes in their artwork the way that he does, more like in their being a human being, which he also does at the start. Like, you were very happy about the start of this movie, the first lines of dialogue.
Metal, Mark. Think, Mark. Think.
Yeah, but
I have a friend who drinks the metal tabs in soda cans.
Oh,
like she'll take a soda, and when she's drinking it, she'll pop the tab off and just drop it right into the soda can, and then hope she doesn't drink it, and then sometimes drink it.
Or give it to or someone else.
Or someone else will pick it up.
Some poor innocent victim.
Yeah.
I
feel bad for that guy.
Some bird that comes to drink from the cup accidentally gets a metal in their stomach.
You're literally an Always Sunny in Philadelphia character.
That's
you
incredible.
Are. I can't wait to see Turkey Tom's video about it.
But yeah, so the comparison of that show Invincible and this movie, and the fact that I already thought you would like this movie, compelled us to finally watch it. And within the first minute, just you could it was the interaction between the guy who shows up, the music teacher. He shows up to the main character drumming.
Yeah.
Terrence Fletcher, Andrew. Like you said, is his name. Terrence Fletcher, the music teacher, who's like this incredible hard ass out here looking for like the best people to elevate them into his orchestra. So he hears the kid drumming and walks into the room, and the kid stops and he says, he introduces himself and is like, "Do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Then why did you stop drumming?" And then he just starts drumming again and then stops, and then he says, "I didn't tell you to start drumming again. I just, asked why you stopped." That was not a response. And you were like, this is a perfect movie immediately off of that. Why?
Well, that's just a big problem that I've seen with a lot of people who are under-socialized, is that they take social cues and they don't know what to do with the fact that they've received one. And so oftentimes they think, oh, well, I'll act on it. So, most often you'll encounter this with, a girl flirting on you. So you're like, oh, I'm going to ask for a number. but like maybe you shouldn't have yet or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, like don't scare people away.
Right.
Right. So if you're just like, oh, you're a drummer, or like, okay, I've seen this with musicians. If you're a guitar player and someone's like, oh shit, you play guitar, and you like got your guitar at school and stuff, and you just start playing guitar like you're an obnoxious person, right? Like you're not.
Yeah.
Because you have a guitar is not the same as play guitar.
Yeah.
I would like to hear you play guitar, and why did you stop drumming is not the same as please start drumming.
Right.
Right. Like they just don't mean the same thing.
He probably should have responded something like, "Oh, I wanted to introduce myself to you." Like that's a way to. Doesn't matter why he really stopped drumming, whether he thought he should or not. Like responding by drumming is just kind of nonsensical.
Well,
but he extrapolated from it oh, I'm supposed to be trying to impress you, so I must now impress you, And it's like, well, no, you were supposed to be trying to impress me then. You missed that, and now you're at the wrong place. You're overcompensating. You've taken...
Right, he got anxious. That's why he stopped drumming, though. Like, that's what happened.
That would be the honest version.
He got worried about it.
He could say, I got anxious, but, like, if he just said, like, oh, I, was taking the opportunity to introduce myself. Would you like to hear me drum some more? That would be a great...
super social skills.
Yeah. Or just a little bit more time to think about it, I've had now having watched the movie.
Now that I've seen the movie, I think fuck Miles Teller's character, because he's the exact same kid in the beginning and the end of the movie. He's the exact same kid who plays when you didn't ask him to, and can't fucking play when you need him to.
That's true.
Let's scale this back a little bit.
Yeah,
if you guys are already into the first scene.
I'll let you lead this part.
The first line in my notes. The conductor looks like Negan from The Walking Dead if he had AIDS. That's kind of what I took from it. I figured that'd get a laugh.
Yes.
That's my first one. This guy's fucking hilarious. Is it J.K. Simmons?
Yes.
Who is the conductor? Okay, so I'm not very familiar with conductors.
Have you seen Spider-Man?
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons is the Daily Bugle guy.
J. Jonah James.
Yeah.
Oh! That's it.
He's a menace!
There you go. Okay, yeah.
There you
Alright. Yeah, and then the next line I had, other than him looking like Negan with AIDS, is it kind of feels like a kind of film noir at first. Right. You guys are already talking about the first scene right now. Am I alone on that? Or was I just way too high when I first watched
For sure,
it?
it's like super dark lit in that scene, and there's this sense of foreboding. The movie has kind of like a thriller, almost it feels almost like a crime movie at times because of the level of undercutting each other that these two guys get to, where he really ensnares the main character at the end,
Oh, you mean this abusive, child abusing fucking? Well, I guess they're not children, right?
Well, the movie is kind of ambiguous with its take on the characters. I guess it's not ambiguous with its take. It's just it presents it as hey, well, it did work. Whether that's something to be praised or not, hey, these two pieces of shit at least can put on a hell of a fucking drum performance,
Yeah, but in my head, I'm I love it, because as soon as jumping way too far ahead, but after the movie's over, that kid gets arrested, probably,
for his break-in on the
being there.
Yeah, do you think, I guess he
that
probably would,
been there.
The fact that he put on a great performance would probably not stop him from still fucking him over again. Being hey...
The cinematography of this film felt real in some fashion.
Right.
It had, say right here, it feels real. It could use a little less melodrama, but, the cinematography just kind of felt I was kind of in it, you know? It felt real, the way they shot all of these dramatic scenes. I could feel Andrew, the main character's, social awkwardness and, his, we'll get more into his personality and stuff later.
Reminded me of, he became Phonium.
I just wrote... Literally wrote that in my notes right there.
Amazing. I had a
Like,
feeling that might be.
The friends in the show feel like characters from He Became Euphonium. That was the next line I wrote.
When He Became Euphonium came out, there were a bunch of Whiplash memes related to the show. In the case of He Became Euphonium, they realistically sound like high schoolers who are not experts at their instruments. In this movie, they realistically sound like just bombastically awesome, like badass performers. The fucking drum solos in this movie, just fucking awesome. As somebody who, I want everything to always sound like fast drums all the time, so this movie appeals to me in that I'm just like engaged in just beginning to listen to drums for a lot of it, and you know, it's
pretty fucking nifty.
The way it's shot is super fast and electrifying. It doesn't spend a lot of time on each shot. Actually, this movie felt really short watching it a second time.
It's crazy watching it. Does feel very short, and it's like it feels like it just ends suddenly, and you're given whiplash.
Yeah,
that's the movie feels kind of whiplashy.
Oh boy,
it is.
We'll get to that. We'll get to my opinion on that. That's why, because you guys tried to sell this to me as like some 10 out of 10 fucking god tier film. So it's always nice to have contrarian opinions.
Yes.
That was one of the other things I wrote too. Was okay. So I think this film interested me a lot. Not only just because I never was like a serious about being a musician.
I didn't like the dad or the girlfriend arcs. I think we could have used less dads and girlfriends, personally.
I think
less
like,
dads, less girlfriends, more
yeah.
jazz, more yelling between Terrence and that kid.
It's a problem of like you care so much about the relationship between him and the teacher immediately.
Yeah.
That you, as a viewer, like. You're in the same seat with the main character of like he basically blows these people off and they have very little influence on the movie or him, which does kind of weigh into the point, but like maybe it could have been even more brief. Like maybe maybe they could have had even less of a spot in his life in the movie to sell that impact. Because I do think like. I don't know. He's obviously a really intense person from the start. He asks the girl out because of the fact that he feels confident after Terrence invites him to the club. But as soon as he sees how much work it is, he basically just immediately breaks up with her. He's just like, well, this is actually more work than I thought, and I don't think we can balance that. And then his dad's just like, you're working yourself dead. And he's like, well, I would rather be dead than not be the best drummer of all time. So that pretty much summarizes his relationships with them entirely. I fucking kicked the camera.
I kind of equate that with being with the storyline of him being kind of socially awkward. Like his social cues aren't really clicking, and I think that that is kind of a part of it.
There's definitely an implication of him having he's somebody who's so obsessed with the drums that he's not spending any time on learning how to socialize. This is
but he's already bad at it.
Yeah, he probably was bad at socializing and therefore went into drums. It's a stereotype, but there's a reason that band nerds are band nerds. They're nerds. They're people who need something to do. If you figure out how to socialize, then you stand out by way of saying cool things and looking cool. Yeah. Whereas, if you can't say cool things or look cool, then you need, to be able to do something that you can, show people that you can do. And band is like, hey, I can do this thing. Let me show you. And all the cool people are like, ha, you need a thing? Dumb. But you might be able to get some art hoes who are like, oh, you play nice violin, and then, you're in. So, he probably got in with all that kind of in mind, yo, I'm a drummer. I'm just going to drum so much that I'm going to be like a god, and everybody's going to respect me. And so, as soon as, a high-tier dude, respects his drumming, he's like, I'm going to ask out this hot girl. And then he's like, actually, don't got time. I'll wait
Yeah,
till
no,
late.
that time to
I don't know
fight
what
first.
time
I
he
gotta
thinks
focus
he's
on
waiting
drumming.
for, or if he ever thinks he's going to have time. I don't know what he's shooting. Like I wonder with someone like that. Like, well, what is the line you're waiting to cross? Like, do you have to have a recording that is as? I mean, no one's ever going to say you're better than the guy you're trying to be. You know, like there's just no chance. There's a glass ceiling of human capability of how good a drummer can be. That like, I mean, maybe like 50 years hence, you would be mentioned in the same breath as legendary figures because, you know, well, maybe not even 50, maybe 20 years is how long it takes for all time to just feel similar. You know, for 20-year-olds, they're like, well, that's all before I was born.
Right.
But, like, you know, that's how long it takes for you to even be mentioned in the same breath as a legend. And you usually have to be dead.
That's true. That is true. Usually you gotta be dead.
I think the reason I like that, which obviously, because I know you haven't finished it, the entire being socially awkward part I was talking about resonated with me because in my top 10 favorite anime of all time, No Dame Cantabile, Chiaki is the main guy, is also like that. Like, he's not really like a social butterfly, and Andrew and Whiplash is not either.
Yeah.
And music will, like, consume your life. And this film captured what this show did in, like, 3 seasons and a couple specials in just, like, an hour and 46 minutes or whatever it was. And I was sitting there and I was just I kind of sat back and I watched it again. I was like, I've seen this before, but it's back to what I was saying about it feels real. Like, this motherfucker, like, goes out of his way to break all relationships. He breaks all of his, you know, tendencies and
breaks his fucking hands in.
Yeah, drumming is his shit. To the point where he's like, you know, like I used to be when I was playing the mandolin. It's like fucking, you know, he's fucking, his fingers are bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, it's, so, that was the next thing in my notes.
When he's playing to the extent that his hand's bleeding, he's making himself worse at playing in the future because his hands are hurting. So he's overcompensating by, you know, over-practicing is my read on that. I think that a lot of the warnings in the movie are about the dangers of extreme behavior, whether it's like, you know, quitting entirely or practicing until your fingers bleed like he keeps doing. Which, you know, both are the wrong thing to do. Don't do either. I think the teacher's bad and wrong, and I think the kid, Andrew's, bad and wrong.
Yeah.
And the only people who are, like, good and right are just, like, the random kids in the class who are, like, just hanging out, playing the music.
Moment, I think if there's a moment when the boy's wrongness is all summed up, it's when at the dinner table someone says, well, isn't music subjective? And he goes, no. And it's like, well, like, there's just no... How can he justify the statement? It's just like, well, who are you gonna... Who is ever going to give you the justification that will make you say, I'm good enough? Like, you know, and like... There's his whole conversation with his family. There's this dinner table scene. That's the best scene that does involve any of his family or parents or anything. It's the one that's like a bunch of his family at a dinner table, and like he's trying to brag about the stuff that he's up to, but like no one else cares, which is something that is fine for him to be kind of upset about. And like I'm the type of person who's been in this situation where, like, I'm not interested in what everyone else is doing, and they're not interested in what I'm doing, but I'm there. And I don't... Right. Unlike this character, I would not want to brag about my shit because I know nobody cares. But, like, the right thing to do in this situation would be to try to care about what everyone else is doing so that they will, in turn, try to care about what you're doing. Like... It's just, you can't ask people to care about your bullshit for no reason when they don't understand it and you haven't explained it to them, you know? And, like, ultimately, he could be, like, you know, like, congratulatory towards the other people about their stuff, find a way to connect it to what he does somehow, you know, or fucking not be here. Why are you even fucking at this thing if you're gonna be like this, you know? Yeah. But... he's there, he's like this, and he eventually, you know, ratchets it up to the point of just, like, being snarky to people and, like, revealing that, yeah, he does just think he's fucking better than them. Like, that's why he's like this, ultimately, you know? So it's just, it's gotta, that's his problem.
That's one of my favorite parts of the film that captures me is, it does such a good job of, because it's obviously in all tropes of film, you want someone, like a main protagonist to root for. This film did a really good job of making me want Andrew to succeed, because he wanted to become the main core, like the main core drummer of this band.
Yeah.
And it does, like, it kind of does loops where you get like a sense of who he is. And I put myself in his shoes and I just kind of sat there and analyzed it, and it was like, I wanted him to win. You know what I mean? And it's very rare that a film can get you to do that. It made me, you know, like on his journey, like you said, no matter how fucked up or how big of an asshole he could be, it, you know, made me want him to live out his passions. And usually when I watch a film, they fail in the writing department on making me give a fuck. And I loved it on that end. Like, that's what, maybe most in part to, yeah, most in part to J.K. Simmons' role really elevated him, I think. And I really wanted him to succeed in every facet. I wanted him to fuck that girl. Oh, that was the next slide of my notes. The date scene, their first date scene was God tier. Alright, skip that. We're already past that. I already know. That scene was God tier. I'm a romance boy, I'm sorry. But, like, it feels very well realized. He doesn't really take any bullshit, which most protagonists do, and I admire that. I think he's a really good character in that. I think the film represents that very well.
I think the biggest flaw of this character is that he is just in a rush in all facets of life. He's trying to get there as fast as possible, and, like, there's just no need. And moreover, he can't get where he's trying to, like, he can't go at that speed without literally damaging everything. Like, he's ripping himself fucking apart. He crashes a car trying to get to the fucking place. Like,
and he still goes. He still fucking goes.
Yes, the madman still shows up to the audition. Like, and there's so many layers of when he should, like, you said it from the start of the scene, because he wakes up too late for the, or it's like he misses the bus. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He hasn't given himself enough time to have missed the bus because he's confident the bus will be there, but it's not.
Which
so
is the first thing I pointed out. I was like, oh no, he didn't give himself enough travel time in case things went wrong.
Well, and then you saw him going to the trouble of renting a car, and you were like, buddy, when you're late, you're late. Like, it's over.
That is how
you fucked up already, you know?
I'll just move it, or just cancel it.
I think your mic stopped working.
He rents a car, which is already absurd. They're like calling him, like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I'll fucking be there. And then he gets hit by a truck.
Well, okay, what happened is he left his sticks. Then he drives all the way there, gets into a cocky argument about how he definitely left his sticks in the car and will be right back. And instead of that's the L I would have taken if I were him. I may have pushed through the other ones, not have taken the other L's, right? Like, I would have, I wouldn't have rented a car. I would have Ubered.
Right.
Because it's now, not 2014 or whatever.
Yeah.
In fake.
Well, just renting a car is already just like, how could you possibly think you were going to get there in time when you had to rent a fucking car? Like, it's a process. You had to sign all these fucking forms.
Where is it set?
I don't remember if it's
not like
specified. It seems like New York.
A New York place.
It does.
But, I don't know.
But yeah, like, just the fact that he still turns up is preposterous after being all bloody and fucked up and can't even play, passes out and everything. And, like, it's like, there will be another shot. And, like, his dad is saying that from the start of the movie. Like, one of the first lines of dialogue is, like, after he had met Terrence the first time, and he's like, his dad asked him, like, how did it go? And he's like, and his dad's like, well, there'll be another time, like, right away. So he's just like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? There won't be another time. This is the guy.
Right.
And it's like, well, there's more than one the guy. This is just the guy who happens to be here now, who you could talk to now, but there might be another guy next week. You don't fucking know. But, like, he's so determined to make this happen right now with this guy, like, that he buys into everything. Like, he buys into that guy's narrative about how his teaching works. He, buys into, like, the idea that, I'm going to become one of the greats by getting shit thrown at my head. And, like...
takes his pitch and accepts it.
And it, like... he's so specifically driven, but at the same time, dumb enough to sell out Terrence when, like, the school board comes to him and is like, oh, well, he's in trouble now because, like, one of his past students committed suicide. And so he's like, just the idea that he would sell him out and then go to talk to him and think that he was going to invite him back into his, like, thing is just so hilariously preposterous of him.
It was a really cool way to set up a final battle, though. That's one of the
Yes.
coolest final battles I've ever seen in a movie.
It's incredible.
Where, like, it's a psychological fight over, like, just that moment when he's like, oh, but we're going to play this new thing. And he's just like, shit, do I play or not? I will look like a fool if I play, and I'll look like a fool if I don't. Yeah. So if I play, I can get one over on him. Yeah. And he'll wait until I slip up, and I'm too foolish. But, like, by the end of it, I think the crowd mostly was like, okay, that was something. And he had pissed off all the bandmates, right? And then he kept going. I mean, I think that's where he won the crowd.
Yeah, I think it was just like every time there was like a tempo change or something in the song, he couldn't keep up with it. So he definitely was just like, he's slipping up on all the turns, It's kind of like if he was just driving fine on the straightaways, not on the turns kind of thing, you know? So, like, yeah, it's just like a messy performance. And, like, the way that Terrence pitches it to him before this, like, keep this in mind as well. Is this even as important as Terrence is making it out to be? Because the point is that he's trying to scare the fuck out of this kid. So, like, he spends, like, 15 minutes buttering him up of, like, these people are the most important people. They're going to judge your entire future. If you make a slip up here, you're dead forever. But if you impress them, it might be cool. And then, like, fucks him over in the worst way. So it's like,
well, that's why I'm glad he did what he did, and he's just like, fuck it. I'm just going to play right now so that everybody sees how I play.
Right.
Fuck this band. That was the right move. That was the Vizzy-approved move.
A get action moment of just like, well, like, if you are always ready to bring your absolute A game, then you can drum your way out of a situation,
I drum my way out.
I think the point of that plot point was that he saw something in Andrew more than him. And only pushed him so much that it was obvious that he was going to overcome that kid and becoming a main core drummer. So, like, that kid maybe had been jealous or just was being an asshole because he was immature. I don't really think that was that important. I don't know. I might be wrong. That's how I took it.
Are you talking about the couple of other drummers who were in the
he says
the nice
at one
guy
point
and then the fucking long.
He's like, oh, he was just my fill-in for you or whatever.
Yeah, no, he brought that guy in to fuck with them for sure. The Chad guy, like,
to test him.
Yeah.
I agree that, like, I think what happens
the really handsome little guy who was really nice and whatever.
Right, well, because that's part of the ploy as well, is that
because he knew he was some kind of prodigy.
I think he wanted, because the drummer who was already in the band, who he was upstaging, was like a foppy kind of gay dude, and so he brings in the, like, hyper Chad, like, normie dude to be, like, extra threatening on, like, every level of, like, oh, you because he already hated the guy for those reasons. He already didn't like that he's, like, You see that like earlier in the movie, they have some interaction where he's kind of like about this guy, you know. Right. So like, I think it's a fun bit that he like has 3 drummers just so that he can fucking tool the one that he wants to be there as hard as possible, you know. The other 2 are just cannon fodder.
Well, he wants to create a Charlie Parker. He doesn't think that. Yeah. He thinks that that's like what he has to do is actually like create one. And I think what we're left with at the end of the movie, right, is that moment of like, I did it, and like, let's go. He pulled up. He finally does this. He finally like, by having the kid come out here and then pulling the rug out from under him and embarrassing the hell out of him in front of who he thinks are, or who like, I don't think he was lying. I think they are probably in the movie the most important people who could have saw this performance. Right. And for him to pull the rug out from under him like that and let him embarrass himself on such a large scale, gives him the ferocity to just tear Whiplash apart. Right. And like to do his own thing in the middle. And he's like, I'll cue you. Because, he comes up, he's like, the fuck are you doing, man? Yeah. He doesn't even sound that angry. He's just like, you did it. You impressed me. I get it. What are you doing? But he's like, no. I'm going to go further than that. Yeah. And that's like, what we get. We did it. He created one maybe. It's an ending where that kid hung himself in 3 years. Well, it's just like an idea. I like the idea of kind of like the bad guys win in this movie, which is both of the main characters, and you are rooting for them. You want them to win, and they do. So like that's why that last scene works so well. Is that like, well, shit, man, he did become a legend. That guy produced a legend. They both can feel justified, at least in this moment, that they did what they were trying to do. But it does leave you as a viewer to say, like, well, like, if this all was the cost of it, and if I don't agree with the idea that, like, this is objectively a good thing either to have in the world, or even that it's, like, comparable to whoever he's trying to be or any other great drummer that's out there, like, like, I just don't... There's no point at which I can say, like, oh, like, this was a good idea on everybody's parts. Right. It's like, we got a cool drum scene out of this, like, obviously it's a movie, so it's like, it's produced. We didn't actually get a cool drum scene out of this relationship between these characters, Well, you don't think that was Miles Teller? Actually
put on the back burner, don't they?
But if it were the case that it was actually real, then at best it's like, cool, that guy can play drums really well, like you sure did train up a good drummer. But like, what if it had taken 4 more years, provided just not throwing chairs? Like would it have been that big of a difference to anybody if it had taken a little bit longer?
Yeah, it would have been different to whatever kind of asshole Andrew Neiman is. If you're like Neiman,
what was the next scene after that? Because I wrote here. Mind you, I was high as fuck when I watched this film.
Good way to watch it.
I found one quote that I really loved. I would rather die drunk and broke at 34 than have people at a dinner table talk about me and a rich person and be sober at 90 and no one remembers who I am or who I was.
Yeah, same.
Was that bald guy? I connected with that. I was like,
no, it was the main kid.
The main kid said it to his dad,
like, right? Because he was saying, "I want to be the next." That's where I was like
sold on this film.
I was like, drummer he wanted to be?
God, absolute God.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm gonna be the next big drummer," and he was like, "Well, that guy died fucking drunk and penniless at 34," and he was like, "Yeah, but you talk about him, so fuck you."
That was a great scene. I don't know if that was the next scene.
That kind of I get why people feel that way. It doesn't resonate with me too much because I don't think anything will last forever. I mean, like, when we're like leaving Earth on spaceships, are we still gonna be just like jamming Beethoven and fucking the Beatles or like whatever? Like, what's gonna survive 1,000 years? We have no way of knowing that because we don't have any culture that has survived that long.
We ain't like, space dandy, motherfucker.
I'm looking forward to whatever the director makes next because I liked La La Land and I liked this one. I think J.K. Simmons is perfect in this movie, but that he is getting older so it's harder probably for him to give like these crazy in-person high energy performances. It's a great thing that he's voice acting now instead. Like to voice act about it is a genius move. Because imagine how many more people he can beat the shit out of now.
Yeah.
In like voice.
Yeah.
I want him to play Spike Spiegel now. In like a future version of that.
What would you rate the movie?
I'd give it like a strong 8, light 9.
I think I'd give it about the same.
It's really fucking well written.
Probably the first time I watched it, I probably felt even more strongly about it because, I didn't expect the twist of him like fucking him over at the performance at the end. I think I had looked at it as like, oh man, he's really crazy because of what he does to the main character in the end. But like rewatching the movie, I'm like, no, the main character really fucked him over. And like, well, the thing is, he endorsed his behavior the whole time. It's not like this. First of all, this guy's not a kid. He's college age.
Right? Yeah, he's
an
adult boy.
And his mentality is just to go along with this guy, and he is never like
playing a cat and mouse game. He's not the victim. You're saying?
I mean, he's just he screams at his dad about how this guy is going to make him an amazing person. Like tons of people were telling him to listen to them, and he did not listen to them. Like he ultimately made all the decisions that lead him into that position. So for him to sell out the other guy is like, man, you of all people are not the person who should be selling this guy out. But he's empowered by the idea that like, oh, well, the other guy killed himself, so this is like a pattern of bad behavior. And it's like, yeah, but you also have a pattern of bad behavior that led you to this position.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything good or moral. But I think it was purely, well, I can't get what I want, so tell me what to say. Yeah. And it's purely like, well, you're right. I'm not going to... His dad's argument was, well, you don't get to play in the band anymore. Why should he get to have it? And he's like, yeah, tell me what to say.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Scorched
But I mean,
earth.
fuck that guy. Fuck. I don't like the kid.
Yeah.
I only like the teacher. The teacher's a good guy. I'd hang out with the teacher. I'd get a drink with that teacher. I'd let that
Well,
teacher
and that's the other
hang out with
thing.
me.
It seems like he's presented as somebody who's like a decent person in all situations where he's not trying to like maniacally create the ultimate band.
We also got to look at who he's nice to. He's nice to like everyone else.
Right, exactly.
Right?
He's
You'll notice
taking
that,
out
like,
all of
he's
his
allowed-
rage, all of his fucking demonic...
Well, on whatever the biggest shithead is that like comes to him,
Yeah.
Like this kid came to him to cause problems to some
Right.
degree, or to take advantage of the band or to profit off of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's definitely a back and forth though.
Right.
I find that in conflict, if one side just kind of like stops reacting, then the conflict ends. I don't know.
Right. And he had every opportunity to just walk away from the whole thing and leave the guy to his shit. But, like, he ultimately decided, like, oh, I guess I gotta stop him from doing it again. And it's like, well, was he going to do it again, or were you causing this to some degree? Again, not saying the man is ever justified throwing the chair,
I'm saying he's incredibly justified about the chair part.
Yeah.
But just specifically the physical stuff.
Anyways, I'm giving this movie, again, a strong 8 to a light 9. It felt shorter the second time, and like it wasn't as like impressive plot wise because of the fact that like stuff like the girlfriend and stuff, when you know that it's just gonna end, you're extra not invested in the early scenes because it's like, well, I know this is only gonna last half the movie, like none of this shit's really gonna matter. But the last scene is just so good. There's no way to not be impressed with it,
Ooh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just think that drum
Yes,
performance.
I'm
I'm big into the drums. All right, Butthole, I want to hear your wrap up.
Okay. I agree with everything you guys just said. I was hoping, because it seemed like you and Riley tried to sell this on me as being like some kind of like 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
It's pretty good. I don't think I was quite done watching it when I was talking to you, though.
I will say, I disagree with B because I thought the ending was a massive popcorn fart.
Okay.
Despite all the film's praises I could give it, I'm going to leave it with like a 7.8 out of 10.
Okay.
I thought the ending was because I'm sitting there like, hi, it's a long film. And I'm just sitting there like, digging it. And then he's just playing the fucking drums. And I'm like, what's the payoff here? It's like, is he going to like have some kind of like, new relationship? Is he going to, get praise more than just subtle storytelling from J.K. Simmons' character or what? And then it just rolls the credits. And I just sat there with my dick in my hand like.
So the drumming wasn't doing it for you?
No.
I mean, there's no resolution.
Like, wow.
But I like that.
Yeah, it brought it down an entire grade for me. I was like, great film. I had a great time, but I'm gonna end it on a 7.8 out of 10.
I think that's very fair.
The ending was kind of the drizzling shits.
Yeah, I think you have a good argument. I just love watching the drum scenes. So for me, it's like, oh fuck, this is the
when it's
the
8
big
minutes
drum.
long and there's no payoff. You like that?
What do you mean by no? The whole thing is
like,
payoff. The whole thing.
No,
is...
it's a lot of up here payoff.
Very contrary opinion. I thought
I like the Twilight Zone
podcast. I thought you guys were going to be like, "Oh, this ending was fucking down here, 10 out of 10."
I mean, I like it.
You guys kind of agree with me. There's flaws, but
yeah, I think it's a little
that's just
flawed. I think it's still like a 9 though. I think it's because I do think that there is payoff to me. Just in that, he created his Charlie Parker. He did it. He made the kid rise above and do some crazy shit that was pretty cool. I mean, I get that it's it's human. I think is a big problem with it. You're like, oh yeah, a person can do this.
Yeah.
Even if it's very,
I think
very skilled. There's no oh, this person won a battle.
I think there's to me there's an emotional arc to the thing that does make it like a battle in some degree, where because it starts with him just suddenly starting the drums, and J.K. Simmons kind of has to figure out what am I gonna do about this, and then he's like, you guys are gonna play Whiplash, and so they go into Whiplash, and he's just like, I'm conducting, I'm doing the shit, and then he, is clearly watching him with that kind of you better not fuck this up. But then, as he's going, he keeps getting more and more impressed. You see other band members looking over what in the fuck? And then, he breaks off into that other part. And that's the point where J.K. Simmons has to act like this is my pupil who I've trained to this point to be this good, who I am allowing to do this because I'm trying to impress you,
Because he doesn't want to look like a fool to the audience either.
Right, exactly.
Well, he already knew he was a prodigy, but the problem is, I hate to compare it to this, but No Dame Cantabile, it's if you're going to invest into this kind of story, there has to be that grand payoff.
You want payoff for the characters, because you're I care about them and I want to see them.
Drumming scene and roll to the fucking credits. I was sitting there literally what the okay?
I mean, I guess Riley
I don't
said though,
No Dame Cantabile has a satisfying ending because it's character driven.
I think the problem,
and that's what people connect to when it comes to cinema
absolutely.
and storytelling and art. And it just kind of fell flat.
Right, we're into music.
It was epic. I love the final drumming scene. I've watched it 9 times. But what the fuck?
Well, aside from us,
you're not gonna show me him becoming a fucking, I don't know, god tier fucking major celebrity after his performance, or you're not gonna show me him and at least his teacher egging him. It's J.K. Simmons, interactions towards him wasn't enough for me. His interactions are I'm proud of you. Of course you're a prodigy, but it didn't work for me, man.
I think the problem...
It dumped it down an entire score for me.
I think the problem is that, like Riley said earlier, the realistic way for this to end is for him to, go to jail or, to just be, not even necessarily go to jail, because that would be a bit extreme for just coming back out and playing, I guess. But, no,
it wouldn't.
You don't think...
No, it's $hundreds of dollars a ticket, event.
Oh, okay.
No, it wouldn't.
I didn't know it was a ticketed event.
What do you mean? He's like explaining it as like being like a big deal, and it's like
I had thought it was like
it's a
these
jazz
were-
festival.
Okay. I thought it was like people who were like judges to like see if they were gonna move on to some new level of jazz.
I wouldn't be surprised if you can't press charges for that. Like you can press charges for like auditions.
Right. It's just like there's
Careful
it
with that
leaves
shit.
it open to the ambiguity of like, well, maybe he didn't continue drumming, or maybe like he got arrested, or maybe
Right, like, let you decide.
Like, there's no reason to think that these guys are gonna have a good relationship from now on just because this happened. You know, like you said.
They don't explain that.
Well, that's
Like
true. They don't explain that, but I think they want to leave it ambiguous enough that you could take it either way. That you could either think like, oh, well, maybe they got together, and maybe they didn't, but like they got to this point at the very least. You know, like he got what he was. They got what they were trying to get to. Butthole Weave's like, I was invested in the stuff with the girlfriend. I would have liked that to have been a fully fleshed out arc, so that there could be a payoff at the end about it. But it's not there because the movie is trying to narrow in on being like fast and brutal and about this idea to the furthest extent it can, you know? So like, I think that
Maker Whiplash and Snowpiercer sound very similar.
yeah, I do think they're both movies that like are aggressively trying to make a point to the possible sacrifice of having characters you would remember the names of, you know?
What do you mean? Curtis, Mr. Wilford.
You're impressed.
They're the teacher and student relationship in Snowpiercer.
Sure, that's fair.
It's perfect.
And a 2 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. I
wonder
wonder what's
butthole.
inside your butthole. I wonder what's inside your butthole.
Your butthole.
Maybe it's an astronaut. Maybe it's an alien. All inside your butthole. What's inside your butthole? I mean,
Hey, welcome to the Butthole Weave edition.
fucking nose cracked up by a butthole. My cutter fart at me and give me pink eye.
What?